Well, let's go more on this now with Chris Doyle in London. He's the Director of the Council for Arab-British Understanding. Really good to have you back with us, Chris. This is seen as quite a sizable shift in British foreign policy when it comes to the Israeli-Palestine conflict, a potential recognition of a Palestinian state. Keir Starmer has really set the bar high in terms of Israel avoiding such a declaration. It says it will make the announcement unless it takes steps to end the war, unless it allows the UN to resume aid distribution in the enclave, and unless Israel gives an undertaking that it will make no further annexations in the occupied West Bank. What's your reaction to what's been announced?
Well, it's certainly a move forward in terms of Britain getting closer to recognition. No, I think many people are wondering why it wasn't even done today. So you could have recognized today. And if the concern and the emergency is in Gaza, recognition isn't going to end that genocide in Gaza. It's not going to stop the issue of malnutrition. The famine that was declared today by the IPC. So, I think there's some mixed messages going on here, because I think if the British government was really serious about ending what's happening in Gaza right now, then there would have been an announcement of sanctions straight away, if not before, in fact. So there is still a little bit of caution here, which is typical of the Starmer government, as we've seen for a year now. Now, he has said that they will recognize September with these conditions. But if you actually really look at the conditions, there is a lot of wiggle room, some quite unclear terms. So it says, unless the Israeli government takes substantive steps to end the appalling situation in Gaza, it doesn't quite say what would constitute substantive steps, and that Israel has to commit to a long-term sustainable peace. Yet again, what exactly, would that mean? And when it talks about the UN restarting aid without delay into Gaza, it doesn't talk about the full, unimpeded access for the UN and also the associated agencies. So yet again, could this mean, 100 or 200 trucks allowed into Gaza per day, but not really what the UN needs, which they say is roughly around about 1,000 trucks per day to address the famine? So there is still really, I think, a lot of gaps in this. But certainly we are seeing this gradual toughening up of the language. It's actually quite extraordinary to hear the Foreign Secretary accusing Israel of rejecting the two-state solution, because actually hitherto the British governments have been very reluctant even to state that, even though it is actually in the platform, the current Israeli government, that it will not accept a Palestinian state. So even coming out and doing that, it is a toughening of that language. Certainly the Israeli reaction is very harsh. It says this is a reward for Hamas, which is also another, fairly ridiculous statement and argument, to be honest. So I hope that this means that this takes Britain closer to that sort of recognition. But I think there are significant doubts here in London amongst many politicians as to whether that will be the case. For example, if there is a ceasefire in September, will Downing Street continue to push for and go ahead with recognition if Israel has not adhered to the other demands that are made? I'm not so sure that they would risk undermining that ceasefire.
We know the French President Emmanuel Macron made a similar announcement a few days ago, but he said that France would be supporting Palestinian statehood in September without condition. In response to that, Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu said that such a move would only further reward Hamas. He made a similar comment when responding to Keir Starmer's announcement. What do you make of the Israeli response to both of those countries' decisions?
It's a classic piece of Israeli propaganda. Let's face it, Hamas, as Netanyahu himself has pointed out so often, doesn't want a two-state solution. It doesn't want a Palestinian state in the West Bank and Gaza Strip. It wants a one-state, a Palestinian state. It's not its agenda. This is the agenda of President Abbas and the PLO, a two-state solution. It's something that the PLO has agreed to. It's not something even the Israeli government has agreed to. So this is actually, or would be, a reward for the Palestinian national movement. It would be a political prize for them. But of course, Netanyahu doesn't want that to happen. He's so opposed to it. So he'll use every argument that he can to try to persuade Britain, France, and any other nation who may still follow, and maybe others will, like Belgium or Canada, who knows, Australia, maybe some other European countries, maybe they will do this as well. But I do think, going back to, I should have said earlier, I think it's a great pity that Britain and France couldn't have coordinated a joint declaration together, because I think that would have had greater power. And I think it certainly would have had greater power if Britain didn't attach conditionality, because we should be recognizing a state because it's the right thing to do. We should have done it years ago, and it shouldn't be subject to conditions, because recognizing right to self-determination, you shouldn't have to wait for the right appropriate moment.
Okay, Chris Doyle, we'll have to leave it there, but it's great to get your thoughts as always. Thank you.
Thank you.